In a moment in time, sadly too many years ago now, I used to be a soft pastel artist. It was my main medium. I have tried numerous soft pastels, and the ones I really like are the Daler Rowney vintage ones. I have a rather large selection, but they are getting harder and harder to get hold of. But then I've got enough to last a lifetime, so... But I mentioned this to Lightwish, and I said, you know, my main medium was soft pastels. So they gladly sent me some soft pastels out to try. This is their newest selection, I believe, and it's their handmade soft pastels. They've sent me a selection of 72 colours, as you can see. And they say they're super soft with strong coverage and heavy colour. Well, I'm going to test them out in a minute. There's not a lot more to be said on the box. It is a nice box though. There's nothing on the back. But it's a really nice box. You wouldn't want anything else to keep your pastels in. This would be more than ample. And I quite like it. I do believe, I would have to check, but I think that they're... full set is 120 colours, which would be really brilliant. So let's have a look at the pastels, shall we? It comes in 2 trays, as normal with Lightwish, and this is the top tray. And looking at the top tray, we can see that we've got reds, yellows, pinks, and a selection of earthy and green tones here. And they are all numbered. I don't know the reasoning for the numbers, but there are no names. They are just numbered, and they do say Yuyi on the stick. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but there's not a lot to be said on there either. So Lightwish are not really giving too much away, other than that there's the selection, the 72 there. And they have a number. Whether you can buy them individually remains to be seen. I don't think you can, but you may be able to, hence a number. Otherwise, there's not really a lot of point for the number, is there? So let's have a look at the second tray. So in the second tray, we have probably a few more nuanced colours here, as in these. And we have some more greens and a couple more earth selections with a selection of blues. And they do look very nice. They are handmade, apparently, and the closest I have to looking like these is a small set of unisons. I don't particularly like the unisons myself, but, you know, they're the closest I've got to these. And I feel that they've made such a deal on them being handmade and presenting them really nicely, actually, that I feel that they just need to, again, up their game and show whether they are light fast, give them some colour names, which would probably be better than numbers, and, you know, just tell us a bit more about them, whether they are a professional standard, an amateur standard, or whatever. I'm getting the feeling that they feel they must be a professional standard, because they're handmade pastels, and that generally would suit. But it's a very nice selection, and I'm sure that you'll agree that they do look very nice, and they do look very tempting and something you probably want. There will be a link in the description, so please have a look at that, and Lightwish will be sending me that over. So I'm going to see how they work. Let's see if they're any good and if the colours are that vibrant, shall we? I'm sure they will be. The pastel paper I've brought along just for this demonstration is pastel matte, and it's the maize colour. And I'm just going to do that little simple scene that I did last time, which was the sky with the poppies and the field in front of it, because it's just easy to show you, really. And it's quite a nice scene, really. So what would I start with? Let's have a look here, shall we? Let's start with a top of the sky colour, which This would be a reasonable colour for that, and that's number 115. And then I have this reddy blue, which is number 93, and then a very light blue. So I've got everything I'd need for a normal standard sky, and that's number 95, that light one. So let's just define the horizon as we did before when we did the oil pastels. This is kind of the same, but well, should be kind of easier really, to be honest with you. So again, yeah, they feel nice. Yeah, they're chalky and they're soft, and yeah, I think they'll be really nice actually. They've got a little bit of firmness to them. I don't like pastels that are too soft. Schminker, for example, are very soft, and I really I like them. I mean, who wouldn't? But I don't feel that they really are good for details or anything like that. Whereas these are soft, and I feel that you could also get details with these as well. So that's a good start. I think possibly the top blue colour would be better, and there may be another colour in the larger set. So let's put this bottom layer here, and this will be easier than it was with oil pastels, but that's a really nice colour. These two colours are ideal for the skies. So I wouldn't remove the pastel from there, and I'd use my finger to just blend up, bringing the blues together. You can see the swirl going on there. Already it's giving you the look of a soft sky. But you need the blue at the top, the dark blue at the top, just to offset all the lighter colours. But once you've done that, you can go back onto another part of it, but wipe your hands first. Or wipe your fingers first, I should say. And then we just keep doing this, bit by bit. So a very simple sky again, and will be a lot easier than it was with the oil pastels. Again, every pass, wipe your fingers. I'm just wiping them on the palm of my hand. You could use a cloth. You just want to get a nice blend going on. Leave the powder that's there. That's not going to hurt anything, as long as you don't bring the dark blue into the light blue. It's just going to stay where it should stay. And again, now I've done that, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do bigger areas this time. I'm just going to go around in circles, blending the edges together. And these are performing really well actually. They really are. Really nice. And again, wipe your hand. You can see my hand's getting dirty. It's not a problem. It'll take the pastel off. Enough for you to be able to blend. You don't want to keep messing about, do we? And bring that blue down into that light blue. It'll naturally do it. It's a bit more forgiving and easier than the oil pastels to do this with. So once I've done that, a lot of this pastel will have moved to the sides like this, and a lot of it will have actually mixed in. So what I can do is I can then just get hold of this pastel here, and I can go sweeping backwards and forwards just to smooth everything out. Alright, up and down, merging the colours into each other. And again, at this point I have a choice to make. I can go over it again. I can bring the blue down into the lighter blue. Just getting a soft transition is what we're after. Just like mixing paint really. Well, it is paint, is it? Let's be honest. And again, up here. The proportions of light and middle and dark blue that you require is your call really. I'm just doing this quickly. And again, go backwards and forwards. And that should, all being well, keep everything nice and clean. Okay, so we've got the background to a sky there. This powder, I'm now about to open my studio door and just blow it away. If you're on an easel, let it fall. And again, don't panic over it, just move it, don't brush it, take it to your door, blow it away. Another thing to do when you get rid of all that is blow directly onto this. Go. That just gets rid of anything you don't need. And just be careful that you don't spit. In this case, it wouldn't matter. You just let it dry and then you'll just blend it back in. But if you were using a pastel card like the Sennelier card, then you would have to let that dry, because if you went to rub over it, it would just take the paper texture off. Whereas this is Clairefontaine pastel mat and you can use wet media on it. So I'm just going to give it a quick blend again, just to soften it all in, get a nice transition, and then I'm ready for clouds. Okay, so far, what can I say about the pastels? The pastels have worked brilliantly. I can't ask for better than that. They are really good. Really nice and soft, blend really well, lovely pigmentation to them. I just think for your own peace of mind, you would need a little bit more information on them. But I'm going to say I would not hesitate to do my professional pictures with these, so don't worry too much. So we're going to put some clouds in. I'm going to get this white. Now it's kind of an off-white, and I'm going to use it on its side, but slightly tilted. And I'm going to just spin, and you'll see that this comes off a lot better than it would do on if you were using oil pastels. So I can just put what I like where I like, getting smaller towards the bottom, just touching. And a case in this case, because it's all just made up, you kind of just blend what you want out, really. So for me, I just blend and touch in the bottoms, just to make them look a little bit softer at the bottom, and that gives you a nice little shadow there, leaving the top areas really fluffy. And these ones, I go like this, I'd lift and just soften them in, lifting and lifting as I go past. And if I need a different shape, I'll just blend the bottoms. And that gives you a very distant cloud. Hope you can see that. I'm going to push you in a bit more. But these pastels are working really nice, actually. I'm really happy with them. And again, like an aeroplane taking off, just let it blend in. And you can soften the bits that you want softer. That's really nice. For a simple sky, that is. Really nice. Just blend the bottoms up. I'm really happy with that, considering I've done it that quick. What I could do if I wanted was get hold of a pink. This pink would be nice in the clouds. Get hold of a little bit of pink, add in just touches here and there, just to give it a little bit of character, if you like. You can use a different colour. You could probably use this pinky grey, look. Put that in there. Blend that in. All very simple stuff. Put that down towards the bottom even. Look at that. Oh, look how that pink just highlighted them clouds just by touching the pastel mat. That's nice. These pastels are very nice. They're letting themselves off on the paper fantastically. And they're mixing and blending an absolute treat. So another thing I would do if I was that way inclined is I'd probably get this colour, just to show there's some colour to the clouds. You don't have to, I'm just messing about now just to show you what you can and can't do. But you can soften that in, just touching very lightly, because these blend absolutely brilliantly. And then you can go back to your white or whatever it is, and you can just top the clouds off with some highlights wherever and however you want. Look at that. These are absolutely fantastic pastels. I really like them. I want the larger set. Lightwish, if you're watching, send me the larger set. These are fantastic. You've done yourself proud again. I just wish that you would put a bit more detail on your products, because your products are that good, they deserve it. Right, let me just soften that all in. And down towards the bottom, we can just put some clouds. The reason I put the clouds down the bottom here like this is because what it does, when you put the trees on, it will set the trees off. It'll make them stand out a bit more, give them something to work against. Right, and again, if you have any powder, you shouldn't really have much, but you just blow that away. Right, let's put in, and I'm trying to make sure that I've got all the right colours to do this actually. Let's put in some trees along the horizon, shall we? Now, again, this is a colour I found I was missing in the oil pastels, which I think would be a great addition for these. Is a dark green grey. There isn't one, but I usually use that for the background, so I'm going to have to make it up by just mixing a bit of black in with this colour here. So there's my horizon. These are really nice pastels. I'm just going to put in some trees in the same way again as I did with the clouds, up and down, left to right, and this is coming off on top of the other layer of pastel very nicely. Just make it a little bit more solid towards the bottom, block it in. Your trees, or whatever you want them to be, and you just go over the top. I mean, these are not going to be perfect because I'm, again, doing it fairly quickly for you guys, but I'm going to mix a little bit of black in with this, just so I can get the definition between some trees, especially down towards the bottom. Yeah, they're layering up nice, and I'll just soften that in. Soften that in. I'm not pressing hard on any of this. If you need to, then do so, but it's usually not needed because these do blend lovely. And you can just top off your trees by putting these highlights at the top. Sorry, these details at the top. So now this is where you will tell if your pastels are any good at layering, because you need to now put your highlights on the top. So I would then go towards a middle value colour. In this case, I'm actually going to use this olive green. I'm just going to put in some dots and dashes as to where I want separate trees to be. I'll put them up towards the top, coming down into the black. So this is just the middle values. You don't want too much, you just want little dots, just to separate the trees. Again, I would take a lot more care on this if I was doing it as a normal picture, but it's okay. Gives you the idea, doesn't it? Well, I hope it does. Right, and from there you can go to a slightly lighter colour for the highlights. You get all these little individual trees starting to show. And you can bring that colour up into the sky, because that will look really nice. That'll look like little sparkly leaves against the skyline. As I say, this is just very, very simple. No big deal. I'm just giving you an idea. And we're also seeing how these pastels work. And I have to say, so far, I'm pretty impressed. So it gives you 2 or 3 colours in there, and then we'll go towards the highlights. So I'm going to use this yellow-green for that. And all of a sudden, we're going to be picking up little highlights here and there. You can make them a little bit bigger towards the top. And again, it shows what the pastels can do, because it's actually picking off the highlights. If the pastels were too hard, or they weren't soft enough to do what you needed, it wouldn't be picking them off, and you'd end up just with pastel skidding over the paper, to be honest. So these are just little highlights. I'm just rushing now. It gives you an idea, and you can bring them highlights up into the sky. So it looks like little individual leaves that have grown up, and you use this to separate each bank of trees. And again, you can then just soften in the bottoms, and I mean just soften them in. Right, so that's just very basic. And blow everything off. If you have a stray part, you just need to somehow just pick that off. And you can use blenders for that if you want. So, we're going to put a field in front of this, aren't we? Like we did last time. I'm going to use this colour, and I'm probably going to use this colour, and possibly a little bit of this colour. So we've got number 45, 47 and 39. Now what I would do is I would start, in this case, with my lightest colours. Usually you'll go dark to light with soft pastels, but these are really performing well, these pastels. And I just go across. Hopefully all of a sudden you can see some distance going on there. And again, just like the sky, you can blend that in and then just blow it off, or you can just leave it and just put in your highlights along the top. I feel that the field needs to be a little bit lighter towards the back, so we need to find a lighter colour, which in this case is number 25, and we'll put a little bit of that in there back towards the distance, and getting less as we come towards the front. And then we just have our field there. So what I need to do is to just blow that off and see what we're left. Back in a second. So that's the basics of your cornfield. Whatever you're left with, or whatever colours you want to use, is your call. Right, now I'm going to put a foreground into this, just because I can. I'm going to use this dark green again. I'm going to push up. These pastels are working brilliantly. I'm going to fill this in, block it in there. Block it in there. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to see how we get some details. So what we need to do is to just put some grass details up the top, like this. Going left and right, getting smaller towards the middle. That's some grass details. coming out of your blocked in areas. And yes, that's performing really well. Get the sharp edges of your pastel. Of course, by this time you might have broken edges, so you could use them anyway. So, but yeah, that's working, doing exactly what I would want it to do. There would be a bit more nuance to this because I would be using probably little cut off shards of oil pastel. But you go left and right, left and right. And then we need to just put the darker areas in the grass again, don't we? So again, block in some dark. Not too much, just enough. And blend that in. Don't expect a masterpiece. I'm not doing a masterpiece. I'm just showing you an idea. And I'm showing you how the pastels work. I'm showing you how they layer, how you can get details, and how you can blend. And ended up with a decent result, considering, really. And again, blow it off. Just blow it off. Don't brush anything off, because that's the worst thing you can do. Right, so from here, I'd probably end up putting the lighter green, although it's the darker green, on top of the dark areas. And this will give me detailed areas with little banks of grass where I need them. You can do this with a larger pastel if that's the way you want. You put them in. I'll be working on that probably 10 times as much time as I have. But you can put that in. You can also put little things like little bits of weed in there. Little plants that are growing, little pieces of grass that grow, little things that are kind of random, just little dots, just little things, just for interest. Keep adding this in, blocking that in a bit more. I just want to put a path in the foreground, so what I'm going to do is to use this colour, which is number 27, just to put a little bit of a path in the foreground here. And I'm going to get a reddy brown. What have we got? We'll go for this one here, just add in a little bit of reddy brown. It looks more like a purple, never mind. That's number 100. The brown I used for the path was number 27. That's alright, purple do. We don't need to be worrying about that. I can just blend that in again. And then I can put some lighter brown on for highlights and some darker brown on for shadowy areas. Shadowy areas. So again, shadowy area might be there. Just soften that in. We're not after a masterpiece, we're just after showing you how these pastels work. And let's end up with a slightly lighter brown. In fact, I'm going to use this little lilac colour just to give highlights in different areas. Skim that over the paper. And gently soften them in if you want. Okay, so we just need to make it look sense here. So we have a bit of light against the dark. Showing you a little pathway going through there perhaps. It's all coming out of my head this, so it's not going to be a great finished product. Right, so this grass again, we can put the highlights on top of it. You can pick out individual pieces of grass to do this, or you can just do what you want. because you've got the background grass there now, so it doesn't matter what you have. And again, I'm using the detailed part of the pastel. I'm coming up here and coming down there, leaving the darker areas behind. Again, trying to get individual banks of grass. Taking my time with this would be a lot better. So, but I'm hoping you can see the idea. If you press harder with the pastel, you get a more intense line sometimes. And again, we can then put little highlights on top of the grass. I could put a tree in here if I wanted, in exactly the same way as I've done all this, but I'm just quickly showing you an idea. In fact, I have done a picture like this. I'll see if I can find it. That'll show you what I've done with that. I did that about 20 years ago, so but that'll give you the idea. Right, and if you want to, you can individually separate areas of grass just by working back in with the green pastel. Okay, let's brighten it up. Let's put some poppies in now, shall we? So, what colour am I going to use? I quite like this colour. I'm going to use it, whether it suits or not. So I'm going to pick out little areas to put little poppies in. Some smaller, some bigger, different shapes, some round, some angled. And if you put them down into the grass, you can separate areas of grass by putting in the poppies. And the reason I did it so dark was because I fancied using this little lighter colour, just to put a little highlight in them, just because I can, just to show you different ideas, different basic ideas. I mean, if you're a pastel artist, and a good pastel artist, you're probably looking at this quite horrified, but it's not meant to be a full-blown demo. And you can dot some of them with a pencil if that's what you really want to do. Alright, and you can make some brighter poppies as well. We can put in some little white flowers here and there if we really wanted to. We could even put in some nice lilac-y blue type flowers. Just little dots here and there. Choose where you want them. Tell you what we'll do, we'll use another colour as well. We'll put in some little yellow flowers as well, shall we? Why not? Just because we can. Yellow's not standing out quite so well. There you go. And let's put the poppies in the field, just a few at the background, here and there, getting darker and bigger towards the top. There we go, you can blend some of them in if you want. Lighten them down. You can even smudge them, look, to make it look as if they're really in the distance. Alright, now that's just a really quick demo of how you can use pastels, but we've forgotten one thing, and I'm now about to put it in. And I'm going to use, actually I'm going to use this colour. I'd probably use a black, but I'm going to use 103 just to put in a few random birds here and there. Always an odd number, by the way. There we go. Right, one more. Right, and with that, tap that down. And one thing I'm just going to show you, because I forgot about it, was I'm just going to put a few little bushes in front of the trees just to separate the horizon from the tree line. Now look, that's just a very simple demonstration. I didn't mean it to be anything major, but it just gives you an idea of how these pastels are working and what they are looking like once I've done them. And I think you'll find that they've done really well. There's a lot more I could do to this, a lot more, and I will show you on my picture, and I'll show you a couple of pastel pictures. So what about this weather we're having? I don't know what it's like in your part of the world, but here it's absolutely scorching. Well, for England anyway. But I wasn't trying to change the world with that or give you any big revelations in pastels. I was just trying to show you how these Lightwish pastels work. And I have to say, I really like them. If I can do something with them, then I'm going to like them. And these feel really nice. They feel like I would go to them quite a lot, actually. They're a little bit softer than what I normally use, but they're not as soft as things like Schminker and possibly Unison. And you can get a lovely coverage with these. There's great pigments. You can blend them fantastically, and you can also get details. You get everything you need. Some of the colours are a bit random, I think, but I had every colour I needed for this, so it can't be that bad. I think maybe the 120 colour set would be better and would give me some more nuanced and maybe a few more darker colours as well, which would be nice. I would love to see a green grey, and I will check out the box to see if they do have one. So that's another review, and thank you to Lightwish for sending me them pastels. There will be a discount code in the description, and I have memberships. Please don't forget I have memberships. Please like, share and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. So whomever, wherever you are, and a dirty pastely hand, bye for now. Bye.